Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful morning of chemistry, Chem 1105 from College of DuPage, with your host, me, Dr. White. Hi, everybody. All right, couple important things. First of all, I spent all yesterday really doing like grading, and you should have all received an email letting you know last night that your grade was available in Blackboard. Next, you should have received this morning an email with your points for each answer on test number 4. And I will be going through that in a little while. I will cut it out of the video. Did you notice I'm ambidextrous? I can even do it at the same time. Look out, I'm dangerous. But anyways, I'll go through the test in a little while. But I have some important things I want to talk about. And let me open up Blackboard. All right, thumbs up, people. You see Chem 1105, final exam information on your screen. Thank you. All right, let's take a look at this. On Monday, next Monday, I will be giving a comprehensive, that means the comprehensive 1105 final. That means everything on the whole semester is covered in the final online during our Zoom meeting. You'll be able to download the password protected PDF file from the assignment area on Blackboard Saturday. Sometime Saturday, I'll have it up. And on Monday at 9 a.m., I will send out the password for your version of the final exam PDF file that you should take. You'll have until noon, 12 p.m. to finish the final exam and upload your final exam answers to the assignment area of Blackboard. When I give it face-to-face, usually takes about 60 to 75 minutes to finish for all students, but you'll be given more time. The final exam will cover all material, and the final exam has 27 problems, 8 pages of questions, plus a couple of pages of important information. There are some multiple part, and there are 5 multiple choice. Now, in terms of the point breakdown, I did it by the material per each test. From test 1, there's 16 points, test 2, 44, test 3, 29, and test 4, 21. It adds up to 110. So there are 10 bonus points you can get on the final exam. That's my special gift to you. I will be doing a review tomorrow and Thursday. I highly recommend you come. We will not have our regular Zoom meeting for our lecture. You'll just be taking the final exam next Monday. And with that, I'd highly recommend you study for the final exam like you need every point. And the best way to study for the final exam is to use your hourly exams as practice problems. Go look at the problems, especially the big ones, and hold on, tea break. And try them on your own. If you can't figure them out, go look at the problem set for similar problems and see how I solved it. Again, look at the bigger point problems on your tests 1, 2, 3, and 4, and try them. If you don't know how to solve them, go and find the similar ones on the problem sets for that test and that material and look how they're solved. Also, you can also look at, for each test, the review, or better yet, the next, I'll have videos for Wednesday and Thursday out. By the way, because I was grading all day yesterday, I didn't have a time to do yesterday's video. I'll get that today along with today's video. All right, any questions on the final exam? All right, I have a question for you. I haven't asked this before. I assume that I really shouldn't assume. You should never assume things. And how long, and put it in chat, how long does it take you to, once you finish the exam, to upload it, get it ready and upload it and do all your uploading? How long approximately does that take? Could you put that in the chat, someone, or a couple of someones right now? All right. Thank you, Ishmael. Thank you, Ashley. Anybody else? Okay. For those who have technical problems, thank you, everyone who answered. I assumed it would take at max about 15 minutes or so. I give you more. So you got from 9 till noon. That's 3 hours. The test shouldn't take you more than an hour and a half, if that long, not even that long. And let's move on. All right, don't forget there's a lab due today, and today's lab will be due on Thursday. Hand them in. Labs are 10 easy points. If you don't hand in labs, you get 0, and that's going to hurt your grade a lot. All right, I'm going to be going through test number 4. I will be cutting this out of the video. However, if you need any questions answered, ask, come to my office hours. Now, today, before I start the test, I'm going to do something special. If you had problems on test 2, and a lot of you did, with the 3-step question using a balanced chemical equation, I will go through an example after our lab today. I'll say goodbye, but stick around if you want to see that. If you did bad on test 2, I'd highly recommend you stick around, because hint, hint, wink, wink, say no more. Actually, it's wink, wink, hint, hint, say no more. If you look at the Monty Python, you should know it for next Monday. Also, I'll give out another hint. I kept my promise. There are 3 balanced chemical equations that you have to balance. They're not balanced yet on the final. I promised I'd do that, and I did. All right, when I go through the test, if you see a mistake, either addition or whatever, let me know by email and I'll correct it. I'll check and correct it if it needs correcting. A student should never, ever be penalized for a mistake I make in grading. So make sure you follow along. All right, thumbs up, people. All right, let me do one thing. There. All right, everybody see test number 4 on your screen? Thank you. All right. Now, a lot of version A and B were the same, and the ones that are different, I'll go through the answer, but the actual way of doing the problem was identical, only the numbers were changed. All right, what is a Bronsted-Lowry acid? A proton donor. Name the following compounds: acid, base, or salt. A, sulfuric acid, acid. B, ammonia, base. C, hydrochloric acid, acid. NaCl, please pass the NaCl, salt. And NaOH, sodium hydroxide base. What is the pH of a solution with the hydronium ion concentration? 1.0 times 10 to the minus fourth. You're trying to find pH. You're given the hydronium ion concentration. That pH is equal to minus the log of the hydronium ion concentration, H3O plus. Put that in there. And the answer for version A is 4. For version B, it's 3. Same procedure. Now, in part B, if the hydroxyl ion is 1.0 times 10 to the minus fourth, what is the pH of that solution? We need 2 steps. You're trying to find pH, you're given hydroxide concentration. Step 1, you solve and find out hydronium ion concentration. Use KW, yay, that's me. Not really, but I like to think that. Hydronium times hydroxide equal 1.0 times 10 to the minus 14. You solve for hydronium, divide each side by hydroxide. You get this, put in the numbers, and that's 1.0 times 10 to the minus 10. For version B, it's 1.0 times 10 to the minus 11. And step 2, pH equal minus hydronium. You just calculated it, 1.0 times 10 to the minus 10. And therefore, the pH is 10. You do the same thing for version B, and it's 11. Part C is the solution in question 3B acidic or basic? And the answer is basic, because anything above 7 pH is basic, and 10, 11 is definitely greater than 7. All right, let's look at problem 4. Here's the pH scale you should know. 0 to 14, below 7. Ooh, I forgot to do something. There we go. Wow, that fell off somewhere. Anyways, below 7 acidic, above 7 basic, at 7 neutral. All right. If you have a beaker of pH water at pH 7.0, what will happen? Notice I have underlined the numerical value of the pH if you add a few drops of concentrated H2SO4. Well, you have to know H2SO4 is an acid, and that will cause the pH to decrease, make it more acidic, but I'm asking what happens to numerical value. B, you have NaOH. It's a base. Base will increase the pH. Now, for 5, if you have a solution of a buffer, and I guess I should have written that buffer solution, what will happen to the numerical value of the pH if you add a few drops of a dilute solution of strong acid, B, a dilute solution of strong base? By definition, a buffer solution does not change pH if you add a small amount of acid or base. Therefore, it stays the same. Number 6, if you have to add 7.54 times 10 to the third milliliters of a 4.56 capital M NaOH solution to neutralize, and notice I have an arrow to point out, this is important, and I'll explain why in a second, to neutralize 2.44 times 10 squared milliliters of aqueous HCl solution, what is the molarity of the HCl solution? As soon as you see the word neutralize and you're trying to calculate a molarity, it's a titration. And we're given, trying to find moles, the molarity of HCl, we're given the moles of HCl, moles and molarity of NaOH, the base. At neutralization, moles of acid equal moles of base, which means milliliters of acid times moles of acid equal milliliters of base times not moles, that should be molarity. Oh, hold on. instant correction. Molarity of acid, I have it later on correct, but not then. You put in the numbers and solve for molarity of HCl. How do you get that? You divide, you want to get rid of 2.44 times 10 squared, and you divide that by this side. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. You rewrite it, calculate it. It's 1.39. Remember, three significant significant figures times 10 squared. For version B, it's identical. Only one or two of the numbers were changed, and you get 1.15 times 10 squared molarity HCl. If you had improper significant figures, I took off a point. All right, next one. Some of you had difficulty because you didn't read the problem. What is the Chem 1105 chemical reason for the pH of your stomach fluids having a pH of 2.0? And what that means is not it helps break down food. That's not Chem 1105. I teach that when I teach organic, but not this class. It means there's an acid present. It's acidic. You could also put there's HCl in your stomach. All those would have been correct. All right. pH of a solution is 7. Is it acidic, basic, or neutral? pH 7, neutral. pH of a solution is 2.0. And this even is the answer for number 7. I give you a 9. It's acidic. All right, let's do some organic chemistry. Good stuff. How many bonds should carbon have? 4. All right, now for organic chemistry, it's very hard to give partial credit. And for 11, if you get any part of it wrong, it's all wrong. That's just the way I grade organic. All right, remember there's 4 bonds to carbon, counts the lines, subtract that from 4, and that's how many hydrogens. Here's A, here's B. You put this one carbon that has 1 hydrogen. If you put 2, the whole thing is wrong because that's not right. And finally, here's C. And this carbon with 4 bonds to it, it has no hydrogens. All right. What is a hydrocarbon molecule? It's a molecule with only carbon and hydrogen atoms. All right, circle the functional group. Now here, if you circle stuff that was wrong, I took off a point, but I wouldn't give negative points. I've never done that in tests. And for A, look for what's different. Oxygen, 2 places, and you circle it. For B, what's different? Nitrogen. Now this CH3 is not a functional group. Look for what's not carbon, what's not hydrogen, what's not a carbon-carbon single bond. And that's carbon-hydrogen, so that should not be circled. And the last one, and by the way, I didn't teach this, but this chlorine is actually ionically bonded to nitrogen. But if you circle that separately, that's okay. And you have 2, look for nitrogen, 1 here, and 1 here, plus the oxygen gives it away too. All right. Give the reaction product or products for the following. And here we have propane, saturated hydrocarbon, oxygen, combustion, whatever you have here, oxygen will give you CO2 and water for an alkane or saturated hydrocarbon. Next, ooh, look at the arrow, double bond. Hydrogen, nickel, nickel's a catalyst. You break one of the bonds in each carbon of the original alkene, double bond, gets a hydrogen. Carbons that are attached to each other stay attached, and that's what you get. All right. On this problem, you should know this. Leaving my class, this is important. Hint, you should know this. How does soap work? Hint, give the instructor a soap and talk about micelles. Soap, non-polar tail, polar head. Water is polar, dirt is non-polar. The whole key is like dissolves like. If you did not put down like dissolves like, I took off 2 points, period. If you did not put down like dissolves like, I took off 2 points. If you go back and look at the video, every time I discussed this, that was in super huge print because it was so important. Now, dirt, you have the soap molecules aligned this way. We call that a micelle. Micelle looks at polar and goes down to drain with water. In other words, water looks at micelle and says, oh, you're polar, I'm polar, like dissolves like, let's go down to drain together. And they do. How does a towel work? Hydrogen bonds to water. And finally, the last one, count how many carbon atoms, and you count the C's and A, and there are 5 of them. Now in B, you have a ring plus carbons that we call exocyclic outside of the ring. And outside you have 1, 2, 3, 3, but every bend in a line in a ring is a carbon. There's 6, 3 plus 6 is 9. And finally here, count carbons, letter C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that's 6, and we're done. All right, any questions? I don't know about you, but if I were in your shoes, well, first of all, they'd be tight because my feet are probably bigger and wider than yours. But if I were in your shoes, I'd be asking, how many points do I have to get on the final exam to get the grade I want? Good question. Now, what I'm going to show you is based on the assumption that you have handed in all labs, and you've done pretty good on the labs. And most of you, like almost all of you, like I think all of you, you handed in the lab, you did pretty good. So let me check once more. Thumbs up, people. Do you see my whiteboard? Thank you. All right. Number X is the sum of the 3 highest tests and plus the extra credit if you did one. And I'll be grading that later today and post it. By the way, this I call, if you look in Blackboard, it's already there, your test totals. That number is there. Now, for an A, to get an A, take 360 minus X, and that's assuming you've done all the labs, the minimum points you need to get an A. For a B, for a C, Hold on a second on this one. Yep, those are right. Now, let's take a look at, let's assume you did really good and your X, because you got 100 on 3 tests, no equal extra credit, was 300. Therefore, to get an A, $360 minus 300 equals 60 points out of 110 to get your A. Now, that's how that works. But let me warn you about something. But Jaden, if you look at the syllabus, it's there. It's I want to say 432, but don't quote me on that. No, it's more than that. 532. It's 532 counting labs, tests, and final exam, not counting extra credit. And the extra credit, if you did it right, is 10 points. Thank you, Ashley, for helping me out. All right. For many years, I've been doing what I just did. And I want to tell you something, a warning. A number of you are in good shape to get good grades. And to get that good grade, you don't need a lot for the final. And too many times I've seen students say, oh, I don't need a lot of points. I'm not going to study hard for the final. And I don't know how much they study, but it wasn't enough. And they do real bad. And they should have gotten this grade because they, I don't know if they still use the term. When I was a student, it's called bombing the final. I mean, really do bad. They bombed the final and they get at least 1 and sometimes 2 letter grades lower than what they should have. Even though you may not need a lot of points, like I just showed you for that one example, study like you need every point. It can't hurt you. It can only help you. If you don't study, you might go down a grade or 2 from what you thought you should get. I hope you all pay heed to what I just said. Study like you need every point. But this shows you a number of you are in a good boat that if you work hard and do good on the final, you can get a very high grade. Any questions on that? All right, the final will be next Monday. I would hope by Thursday morning, 8 a.m., if not a lot earlier, maybe sometime either late Tuesday or Wednesday, that I will have in Blackboard all your points, total lab and everything else. I will also have your total points for the semester. I'll have your percentage and I'll have your final grade. Now, when I put it into the ECC's wrong school, COD system, for you to see it officially may take a day or so till they post it. But as soon as I get it done and entered into the system in Blackboard, you'll be able to see your final grade. Any questions? All right, it's lab time. And today's lab is a fun little lab. And hopefully you all handed in. Rain asked, are you still dropping one test? The answer is yes. The way I had that X's 3 highest tests, if you go to Blackboard right now, you will see your test total right after test number 4 in the grade book. And that is the sum of your 3 highest tests. I have it set up in an Excel spreadsheet to look at the 4 test scores and add the 3 highest ones. If you haven't figured out, I'm a power user in computers and software, and I've been using a spreadsheet. Should I tell you this? I think since about 1983. How many of you are around in 1983? Yep. It shows too. Ooh, I shouldn't have said that. All right.